What's up? I feel like my hair is flopping around really good. I gotta get a haircut. My name's Nick. What's your name? Bob. Sure. There's no more Bobs anymore. That makes me sad. Bob's a dying name. Bob's out there. Stay strong. Why are we here? My name is Nick Murphy. I'm one half of the brothers Murph. This is Metagame Minute, a twice-weekly segment where we talk about anything and everything that has to do with gaming. Whatever we feel like, we talk about it, as long as it has to do with gaming. So this week, I want to talk about what got you into the hobby. Because we have a kind of interesting situation where Pandemic was our gateway game. That was the game that got us into the hobby. And that was the game that really kind of, it got us into the hobby, got our toes wet, but I wouldn't say that it sprungboarded us into the hobby. Boarded us into the hobby. That's not the game that did it. That game was Zombicide, the original Zombicide, and then Zombicide Prison Outbreak, and now we have Zombicide Black Plague. We've had way too many Zombicides. We mostly just play Black Plague now. But Zombicide, I think, is the game that really got us, specifically me, into the hobby. Pandemic got me to the point where I was walking down the beach, and I was like, ooh, this is interesting. I got my ankles up into the water, and I'm like, ooh, this is nice. I like this. This is refreshing. This is cool. This is good. But I didn't, dive in. I maybe got up to my knees or something like that. I was like, oh, this is nice. This is cool. You know, we got Catan. I got a little farther. I'm like, all right, cool. But Zombicide is what made me jump in. Zombicide is what made me dive headfirst and get lost in this world of gaming that has really kind of taken over my life and Mike's as well. But it's gotten to the point now where, again, I check BGG multiple times a day. Nothing changes from noon to 4, but I check it anyway. You know, and it's like, and I watch the Dice Tower every single day. I watch a whole bunch of other videos every single day. I'm always thinking about games. I'm always just planning out videos and thinking about, like, oh man, I'd really like to play this game right now. And I'm like in the middle of work. Like, I shouldn't be thinking about games, but I am. And all of that, I think, is because of Zombicide. And the reason why Zombicide is what really sprangboarded us into the hobby is because Zombicide's got these really cool minis. And I was like, these are cool. And I know that people paint minis before. So what happened, we got Zombicide. We played all the time. We had Zombicide, Catan, and Pandemic. Those were our 3 games. And the whole explosion happens where all of a sudden we have 60 games overnight. You don't really know where they all came from, that whole thing. But for a long time, we just had those 3 games. And Zombicide is what really tipped us over into going full-fledged gamers. And the reason for that is because I got these minis. I didn't know how to paint them. I didn't know what kind of paints you use to paint them, or brushes, or any kind of techniques at all. So I started doing what everyone does when they want to learn something. You go on YouTube and you start looking up tutorial videos. And I found this woman, I believe her channel is called Girl Painting, and she just paints minis and she kind of talks, and I would just watch. She doesn't paint Zombicide. She was just painting minis, and I would just sit there and watch it for hours and hours and hours. And be like, oh, it's so cool. You can do that. You can feather it to kind of blend it and do gradients and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. And I would start to learn some techniques. I started applying them to the Zombicide minis, which I very, very slowly started painting. And then from her, I moved on to miniwargaming.com, they do Warhammer and Warhammer 40k videos, big things, but they always had painted minis and they had some tutorials. So I started watching their videos, even though to this day I'm somewhat interested in 40k. I've dipped my toes a little bit, but not really. For some reason, I just like watching 40k videos, even though I don't play 40k. But then from there, I found Rahdo, because there was always board game stuff in the suggestions on the side. So I found Rahdo Runs Through, who's a great reviewer, and I started watching his stuff, and I started learning about some more of these new board games. And then a while went by, and I'd always hear about the Dice Tower. They'd always be suggested, but for some reason, I never actually looked at any of the videos. I don't really know why. And then one day, I was finally like, dude, look at one of their videos. They're always suggested. You know they're one of the biggest YouTube people for board games. Watch it. I watched one, I was instantly hooked. And then I started watching every Dice Tower video that came out, all their top 10s, all their reviews, of which there's 1 billion a day. And that is what really completely, when the cocoon of gaming completely encased me, and it became a beautiful butterfly of gamers. So I just want to talk about Zombicide. I wonder if anyone else has a kind of similar situation where you had a game that originally got you into gaming at least a little bit, but it wasn't the game that made you completely dive in. So if you have that situation, a game that made you completely dive in, let me know. I would really, really love to know what it is because I find that kind of stuff interesting. So until next time, check us out on all forms of social media, which will be right here. Check out This Game is Broken, which is our bi-weekly podcast we put out with Dan Hughes, Dave Luza, and Matthew Jude. It's really, really fun and crazy and woo! And until next time, whether you're dipping your toes or you're jumping in, the more meta, the more better. Ooh, yeah.